I never thought I'd point a loaded shotgun at my own daughter-in-law. But there I was, finger itching on the trigger, her Botox-smooth face twisting in terror as the barrel kissed her forehead like a lover's betrayal. You think you can steal my grandkids and waltz away with his money? Honey, I've buried deeper secrets than your fake tears. The room smelled like burnt coffee and shattered dreams. And, in that split-second stare-down, I saw the girl she'd been before the lies, the scared foster kid clawing for a white picket fence, and wondered if mercy was just another word for weakness. It started with a text message at 3 a.m., the kind that rips you from sleep like a bad acid trip, your heart pounding before your eyes even focus. Sienna, we're done. Pack your shit and get out by morning, or I'll call the cops on that accident from '08. That's what my son,
Jake,
typed my boy. The one I'd raised alone after his daddy blew town for a Vegas showgirl. The one whose scraped knees I'd kissed and whose college loans I'd co-signed with my last dime. 8 years of folding his laundry, cheering his Little League homers, and biting my tongue through his bad decisions. And this was my wake-up call. Ultimatum from hell. Courtesy of his bride, Lauren, the blonde bombshell who'd slithered into our lives like a snake in Eden. All Pilates-toned abs and Instagram filters hiding a venomous core. I sat up in my creaky queen bed in the 2-bedroom rancher I'd bought in '95 with sweat equity and a VA loan after nursing shifts that left my feet bleeding. The house in suburban Phoenix wasn't much, faded stucco walls. A yard choked with mesquite weeds, but it was mine, paid off with overtime and ramen dinners. Jake and Lauren had crashed here after their shotgun wedding. Her with a duffel of designer knockoffs, and him with that sheepish grin, promising it'd be temporary. 3 years later, they had twins, Mia and Max. My sunbeams, and suddenly temporary, meant me watching the kids while Lauren networked at wine bars and Jake flipped burgers at In-N-Out. I'd changed more diapers than a CVS stock boy. Baked birthday cakes from scratch when her gluten-free phase tanked, and pretended not to notice the credit card bills piling up like Jenga blocks. But Lauren? She was a force. A Midwest transplant with dreams bigger than her trust fund. Wait. No trust fund. Just daddy issues and a real estate license she wielded like a switchblade. She'd whisper in Jake's ear about upgrading, how my hoarder shack embarrassed her at PDA meetings, how we needed a McMansion in Scottsdale to keep up appearances. I'd laugh it off over margaritas at our monthly girls' night, me, her, and my neighbor Carla, who called her step forward with a side of savage. But lately, the jab sharpened, side eyes at my thrift store jeans, sighs when I babysat in my smelly muumuu. Then came the whispers about my instability, how I was too old to help with the kids, how Jake deserved better than a mom who clung to the past. That text? It was her masterpiece. I knew it the second I read it, the passive-aggressive capitalization, the veiled threat about '08. That year haunted me like a ghost in the attic, the one you hear scratching but never see. Back then, Jake was 16, wild-eyed and experimenting with weed, and worse, the kind of trouble that lands you in juvie or a pine box. One night, he and his buddies joyrode in my old Ford Taurus. Smashed into a guardrail off I-10, total loss. No one hurt, thank God. But the cops came sniffing, and Jake panicked. Swore it was me behind the wheel, said I'd been drinking after a double shift. Swerved to miss a coyote. I covered for him. Signed the statement. Took the DUI hit. Lost my nursing license for a year. Did community service scrubbing graffiti off highway signs. All because he begged. Tears streaming.
Mom,
Don't let them take me away. I can't leave you alone. I swallowed it like bitter pills. Rebuilt my life as a home health aide, scraping by on Medicaid reimbursements. Buried the secret deeper than the St. Joseph's medals in my nightstand drawer. Why confess now? Because Lauren had dug it up. She'd always been nosy, rifling through my drawers when she thought I was asleep, organizing my mail with her manicured claws. Last month, during one of her decluttering frenzies, she'd found the yellowed court papers in a shoebox under my bed. I caught her red-handed, eyes wide like she'd struck oil. Sienna?
This is fraud.
You lied to the cops. Her voice dripped honeyed shock, but I saw the calculation flicker. Leverage. Baby. Pure leverage. Jake denied knowing. Of course. Played the wounded son card, but his averted eyes screamed guilt. She'd weaponized it. Twisting the knife. Your mom's a criminal.
Jake.
How can we raise our kids around that? The ultimatum escalated fast. 2 weeks ago, over takeout tacos in my kitchen, greasy carnitas that stuck in my throat, she laid it out, cool as a cucumber salad. Sienna, we need space. Real space. A house of our own. For bedrooms, pool in the back like normal families have. Jake's making decent tips now, but we need a down payment. Sell this dump.
Or,
well, the kids deserve stability. Away from all this chaos. Her eyes flicked to the crayon scribbles on my fridge, the stack of unpaid bills I'd hidden behind the cereal boxes. Jake nodded like a bobblehead, mumbling about boundaries, but I saw the strings she pulled, his phone buzzing with her texts under the table. His shoulders slumped in defeat. I laughed, a bark that echoed off the linoleum. Sell? This is my home.
girl.
The one I clawed for after your boy's dad left me high and dry. You want a McMansion? Flip burgers harder. But she didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned in, voice low and lethal, or lose the kids. Full custody. Sienna. I've got a lawyer friend who specializes in grandparents with skeletons. The '08 file slapped the table like a gauntlet. Photocopies. Highlighted in pink. Her smile sharp as a Ginsu knife. Jake stared at his plate, silent as a tombstone. That night, I cried into my pillow, the kind of ugly sobs that rack your ribs, whispering prayers to saints who'd long forgotten me. The next days blurred into a fevered dream of passive-aggressive warfare. She'd forget to text about school pickups, leaving me stranded at the Montessori with Max's Spider-Man backpack swinging empty. Jake worked doubles, coming home reeking of fryer oil and her perfume, avoiding my eyes like I was the plague. Mia, my little firecracker with her pigtails and gap-toothed grin, sensed the storm, clung to my leg at drop-offs, whispering, Nana, why's mommy mad at you? I'd hug her tight, inhaling that baby shampoo scent, steeling myself against the ache. Lauren ramped it up, passive posts on Facebook, cryptic shit like, sometimes family means letting go blessed new beginnings, with pics of the twins at a splash pad. Me cropped out like a bad ex. By week's end, desperation clawed my gut. I drove to the storage unit on the edge of town, the one where I kept Jake's old baseball trophies and my nursing caps, relics of a life before the fall. Buried in a lockbox was the real truth, not just the cover-up, but the why behind it all. A thumb drive, labeled for Jake, when you're ready, holding emails, bank statements, the paper trail I'd compiled in secret over years. It wasn't just the DUI lie. It was bigger, uglier, his real father. Not the deadbeat who'd signed the birth certificate, but a married doctor I'd sued for palimony after he knocked me up and ghosted.
Dr.
Harlan Voss, big shot cardiologist in Tucson, who'd paid me off hush money, 20 grand wired to my account. Enough to buy this house and bury the shame. But he'd clawed it back through shadows. Anonymous tips to my boss. Slashed tires. Whispers that tanked my reputation. The accident? It was his doing. A warning from his PI. Ramming my car off the road to scare me silent. Jake behind the wheel that night, fleeing the scene of Harlan's latest threat. A brick through our window with a note. Keep quiet or lose everything. I protected them both, my lover's bastard son and the man who'd ruined me. Swore Jake to secrecy. Told him Harlan was a myth. Just another sperm donor. But Lauren? She'd sniffed it out. Piecing together Jake's odd resemblance to those glossy medical journals in my bathroom, the Voss family crest on a forgotten cufflink. Her lawyer friend was Harlan's niece. For Christ's sake, a Scottsdale attorney who'd been grooming Lauren for months. Dangling partnership if she delivered the dirt. Betrayal on betrayal. A family tree rotten to the roots. I clutched that thumb drive like a grenade pin, driving home through monsoon rains that turned the streets to rivers. Enough. No more covering for ghosts. Lauren wanted war? I'd give her Armageddon. American style. Messy.
Loud.
And leaving no survivors unscathed. The showdown brewed like a hubbub on the horizon, dust-choked and inevitable. As I pulled into the driveway slick with runoff. My old Corolla sputtered like it knew what was coming. Headlights cutting through sheets of rain that hammered the roof like Jehovah's wrath.
Inside.
The house glowed warm against the storm, yellow light spilling from the kitchen window. Silhouettes of the four of them. Jake hunched over a high chair, feeding Max pureed peas, Mia giggling at something Lauren said. Her curls bobbing, Lauren herself. Perched on a stool in those Lululemon leggings that screamed, I shop at Whole Foods, scrolling her phone with one hand while stirring mac and cheese with the other. Domestic bliss. Or so it appeared. I gripped the steering wheel till my knuckles bleached. The thumb drive burning a hole in my raincoat pocket. This was it, the line in the sand, or maybe the blood on the floorboards. I burst through the door without knocking, water pooling at my boots like an accusation. Family meeting, I growled, voice rough as sandpaper from disuse. Jake startled, spoon clattering into the bowl, green mush splattering his Iron Maiden tea. Mia squealed, Nana's home, and toddled over, oblivious arms outstretched. I scooped her up, burying my face in her neck to steal one last hit of innocence, then set her down gentle as a prayer. Lauren didn't look up at first, just arched a perfect brow over her screen.
Sienna.
You're soaked. And late. Kids were asking for you. The lie slithered out smooth, but her eyes, cold prairie blue, betrayed the bluff. She'd timed this. Waited till I was frayed at the edges. Jake cleared his throat. That awkward Adam's apple bob he got from his real dad.
Mom.
Maybe sit. We need to talk about the house. His words hung limp, rehearsed. The kind of script she'd fed him between pillow talk and Zoloft doses. I slammed the door behind me, the bang echoing like a gavel.
Oh.
We're talking.
All right.
But not about birds hit on the siding or that leaky faucet you keep ignoring. About truths.
Jake.
The ones you've been choking down since you were knee-high to a grasshopper. Lauren finally pocketed her phone, sliding off the stool with the grace of a cat eyeing a cornered mouse. Truths? Like how you impersonated a drunk driver to shield your delinquent son. We've seen the file. Sienna. It's over. She crossed her arms, hip-cocked in that power pose she'd probably TikToked about boss babe vibes. The twins froze, sensing the shift like animals before a quake. Max whimpered, clutching his sippy cup like a shield. I wanted to scoop them both, bolt for the minivan and floor it to my sisters in Flagstaff. But revenge is a patient bitch. It waits for the perfect gut punch. I yanked the thumb drive from my pocket, holding it aloft like Lady Liberty's torch. This is the real file, sweetheart. Not some photocopied fairy tale. Emails from Harlan Voss, yes. That Harlan. The one whose waiting room magazines you steal for your reading nook. Bank wires. Threats. The whole rotten apple cart. Her face didn't crack. But I saw the micro-twitch. The flicker of a woman who'd gambled big and drawn a wild card. Jake's jaw unhinged. Harlan?
Mom.
What the hell? Sit down. Both of you, I snapped, pulling out my phone and jacking in the drive. The kitchen table, scarred from years of family dinners and spilled Kool-Aid, became command central. I projected the files onto the fridge, smart fridge. Jake's one upgrade splurge, grainy scans lighting up like a drive-in horror flick. First, the palimony suit me, 25 and terrified, in a polyester nurse's uniform, demanding child support from the golden boy who'd promised forever between shifts in the ER. He said he'd leave his wife, I narrated, voice steady as rebar. Bought me this house as collateral, then yanked the rug when the ink dried. Sent goons to persuade me quiet. Lauren snorted, but it was forced. A hyena's bark. Ancient history. And blackmail? Really? Sienna? That's your play? She sidled closer to Jake, hand on his shoulder like a claim staker. But he shrugged it off, eyes glued to the screen as the next file loaded. The PI report, time-stamped weeks before the crash. Your accident buddy? Harlan's hire. Brick through the window? His calling card.
And you?
Jake. I turned to him. My boy. Now 32 with crow's feet from squinting at fryer grease. You were driving that night because he'd cornered you at the mall? Flashed a wad of cash mixed with threats. Tell your mom to drop it, or the kid pays. You panicked. Hot-wired the Ford to get away. I covered because blood's thicker than ink. And I couldn't lose you to foster care like I almost lost myself. The room went tomb silent, save for the fridge's hum and Max's soft sniffles. Mia tugged my jeans. Nana sad. Lauren recovered first, her mask slipping into righteous fury. This is insane. You're dragging our kids into your soap opera? Harlan's my mentor's uncle. Big deal. He helped me get the license. Connections in real estate. Doesn't make him a villain. Lie upon lie. But the twist hit like monsoon lightning. Her lawyer friend wasn't just Harlan's niece. She was his daughter. The half-sister Jake never knew. Groomed to bury scandals like ours. Lauren had flipped from victim to viper, trading my secret for a leg up in the Voss empire, condo flips in Tempe. Networking galas where she posed as family adjacent. Jake staggered back, chair scraping linoleum like nails on chalkboard. You knew about Dad, Harlan? And you used it against my mom? His voice cracked, the boy resurfacing under the man. Lauren whirled on him, eyes blazing. Used it? I saved us.
Jake.
Your mom's a liability, DUI on record. Broke as a joke. Harlan offered a deal. Down payment on a house. Full pardon if we cut ties. Stability for the kids. You think I want them in this trailer park vibe forever? Controversial as hell. Her logic, a mother's pragmatism twisted into extortion. The kind that splits dinner tables at Thanksgiving. Was she the gold digger? Or the survivor scraping for her cubs in a world that chews up the working class? I let it simmer, the air thick as gumbo. Then dropped the hammer.
Pardon?
Harlan doesn't pardon, he possesses. That deal comes with strings, your silence, my eviction. And Jake? He's leverage. Blood for the family biz. I pulled up the final file, a Voss Group memo, leaked by a disgruntled ex, outlining asset recovery on bastards like Jake, trust funds dangled, then clawed back to keep the heirlooms pure. Lauren's face drained of color, her empire of cards teetering. But she didn't fold. Instead, she lunged for the phone. I'm calling the cops. This is defamation. Jake snatched it away, eyes wild.
No.
Enough. Lauren.
Mom.
Why didn't you tell me? The question hung, a plea wrapped in pain. I cupped his face, thumbs tracing the jawline that mirrored Harlan's, strong, stubborn,
Scarred.
because love's a blindfold. Son. I wore it for you.
For him.
But no more. Outside. Thunder rolled, shaking the windows like God's own applause. The twins wailed in unison, a siren call to sanity or surrender. Lauren hovered, calculating her next flip, apology or annihilation. I held my breath, the thumb drive warm in my palm, wondering if revenge tasted like ash or absolution. But the real storm was just breaking. As Jake pulled me into a hug that smelled of peas and regret, Lauren's phone buzzed on the floor, screen cracked, but glowing with a text from Aunt Viv, Harlan's daughter, deals off. Old lady knows too much. Clean house, starting with the boy. Her eyes met mine over his shoulder. Not defeated, but ignited. The viper uncoiled, and I realized this wasn't checkmate. It was halftime in hell. Dawn cracked the sky like a raw egg, yolk yellow light bleeding over the saguaros as I brewed coffee strong enough to strip varnish. The house felt hollowed out, echoes of last night's bombshells bouncing off walls papered in faded florals. Jake had crashed on the couch, snoring fitfully under a quilt I'd sewn from his baby clothes, patches of dinosaur print and rocket ships, remnants of a simpler war. The twins slumbered in their cribs down the hall, blissfully ignorant, while Lauren, she'd vanished into the guest room, door barricaded with a chair like Fort Knox. No apologies, no tears, just the click of locks and the faint glow of her laptop seeping under the threshold. Schemer to the core, plotting her counterstrike while the rest of us licked wounds. I sipped my Folgers Black, staring at the thumb drive on the Formica counter like it was a live wire. Unloading that truth had been cathartic, a pressure valve hissing steam after years of boiler room buildup. But victory tasted more like regret-flavored regret. Jake stirred as the pot gurgled its last, rubbing sleep from eyes that mirrored mine, hazel flecked with gold. Harlan's curse.
Mom.
Is it true? About Dad, the crash. All of it. His voice was gravel. The boy peeking through the cracks of the husband. The father. I nodded, sliding him a mug etched with world's okayest mom. Every damning word.
Kiddo.
I thought protecting you meant erasing him. But secrets? They're like weeds in the desert, starve 'em. And they still sprout thorns. He sank into a chair, head in hands, the weight of 32 years crashing down like an anvil in a Looney Tunes skit. I covered for you that night, lied about you driving. And you. You covered for me.
For him. God. Mom.
I wrecked everything. Tears tracked his stubble. Unashamed, the kind that bond or break a family. We talked then. Real talk. The kind we'd skirted since he traded Transformers for truck payments. About the bruises Harlan left on my soul. The nights I'd rocked Jake through nightmares that weren't just monsters under the bed. About how Lauren had wormed in, all southern charm and yes ma'ams, but really a mirror of Harlan, charming till the check cleared. Then claws out. She's not evil, Jake, I said, though my gut twisted lying it. Just hungry. Grew up in trailers worse than this. Foster hops from Omaha to OKC. Voss blood runs cold. She saw a ladder and climbed. Stepping on toes, mine included. Controversial mercy. Painting the antagonist gray. But truth's a messy palette. Readers, hell. Even me, would split. Villain or victim. The gold digger grinding for her slice. Or the mom mauled by machinations. A thud from the guest room yanked us back. Lauren emerged, war-painted, hair in a sleek pony, blouse crisp as new money, roller bag trailing like a scarlet letter. Jake, we need to go.
Now.
Her voice was steel wrapped in silk, eyes skipping me like roadkill. The twins stirred at the noise. Mia's cry piercing the air like a starting gun. Jake rose, conflicted as a split jury. Lauren.
Wait.
We can't just. Can't what? Stay in this lie of a life.
She wheeled on him.
Bag zipper rasping accusation. Your mom's poisoned us. Dragged up ghosts for what? Spite? Harlan's offering real help. House. School for the kids. A future. Not this. This American dream reject pile. She gestured at the peeling cabinets. The fridge humming its dirge. But her eyes darted to the thumb drive. Venom veiled. Mia toddled in, rubbing eyes, clutching a stuffed unicorn. Mommy go bye-bye? Lauren scooped her, automatic. Cooing. Just a trip. Baby. To Grandma Voss's big pool. No Nana drama. The flip was masterful, from extortionist to exile, painting me the monster in our bedtime story. I stepped forward, heart hammering like a jackrabbit. Grandma Voss? The one who buried her own scandals under country club dues? Tell her hi from the nurse you blackballed. Lauren's mask slipped a snarl, quick as a Mojave rattler. You think you're the only one with dirt? I know about the pills. Sienna. The 8 of you popped after the accident, the ones that kept you functional through shifts. One call to CPS. And poof, Grandma's visitation rights evaporate. Blackmail bingo. Her ace in the hole. Controversial as pulling a gun in a knife fight. Was it fair play? A mother's fierce defense. Or just dirty pool in the gene pool? Jake snatched Max from his high chair, holding him like a human shield. Stop. Both of you. This is insane. But insanity's the family business. And the climax crested then. Waves of tension crashing in our cramped kitchen. I lunged for the landline, old rotary. Reliable as sin, dialing Harlan's office number from memory. The one I'd cursed 1,000 nights. It rang twice before the automated voice purred. Voss Cardiology. How may I direct? I didn't speak. Just held the receiver out like an offering. Tell him. Lauren. Tell him the game's up. Or I do, live on speaker. With your niece listening in. Her face blanched, then flushed crimson. A kaleidoscope of fury and fear. You wouldn't. He'd destroy you us. But I would. And we both knew it. The phone trilled. Harlan's extension picking up. His voice oil slick as ever. Sienna? This is unexpected. I hit speaker. the kitchen filling with his Tucson drawl, laced with that faux concern shrinks pedal. Lauren froze. Bag forgotten. As I unloaded, calm, clinical, like charting vitals on a dying patient. The affair, the threats, the PI tale that turned my life into a high-speed chase. Jake's parentage. The crash as collateral damage. Your family values? Built on my back. Harlan. And now your protege here's trying to foreclose on the ruins. A silence stretched, taut as a bowstring, broken only by Max's babble and the rain resuming its tattoo. Harlan chuckled, low and lethal. Sienna, always the dramatist. Lauren, girl, you were supposed to contain this, not fan the flames. Betrayal boomeranged, her mentor flipping faces faster than a politician at a fundraiser. She stammered.
Dr.
Boss. I had it handled. The file. The house. He cut her off, voice icing over. Handled? By airing laundry in a double wide? You're out. No deal. No ladder. Pack your Louis Vuittons and hit the bricks.
Click. Dead air.
Lauren crumpled then. Not with sobs, but a keening rage. Fists balled, white-knuckled. You bitch. You ruined everything. She lunged, not at me, but Jake, clawing for Max like he'd stolen her future. He dodged. Kids wailing crescendo. And I wedged between, shoving her back with a force born of 15 years dodging drunks in the ER. Ruined? You lit the match.
Honey.
Now watch it burn. The push was minimal. Barely a nudge. But she stumbled into the counter, hip bruising on the edge, eyes widening in mock horror. Assault.
Jake.
She hit me. Call 911. Polarization peaked. My shove self-defense or senior rage. Her cry for help genuine fear or Oscar bait. Jake hesitated. Phone in hand. The room a powder keg with 3 fuses lit.
Outside.
Sirens wailed distant, real or imagined, as thunder clapped overhead. In that heartbeat, alliances shattered, son torn between bride and blood, wife between ambition and annihilation. I stood firm, chest heaving, tasting copper, blood from a bitten tongue, knowing the revenge I'd craved now tasted like family fallout, bitter as black coffee at dawn. The sirens weren't ghosts. They swelled like a bad hangover. Red and blue strobes fracturing the rain-smeared windows as 2 cruisers skidded into the driveway. Gravel spitting like accusations. Lauren had dialed mid-lunge. Her help. She's attacking us. A siren call of her own, twisting my nudge into narrative napalm. Jake froze. Phone limp in his fist. Max squirming against his chest while Mia burrowed into my legs. Unicorn dangling like a talisman.
Mom.
What do we do? His whisper cut deeper than any blade. The boy begging for a map out of this maze I'd mapped with lies. Cops? For a love tap. I snorted, but adrenaline soured it to bile. In America, the thin blue line blurs fast, especially when it's grandma versus glamour puss. Skeletons rattling in the closet like maracas at a cartel funeral. Lauren hovered by the door, one hand cradling her bruised hip like a stigmata, the other waving her phone triumphant.
See?
Evidence.
Time-stamped.
You're done. Sienna, jail for assault. Custody for fraud. Her smile was feral. A comeback kid's coup, flipping defeat to dominance in seconds flat. Controversial calculus. Was she the instigator escalating to entrapment, or the battered spouse striking back in a system stacked against the shiny? The door banged open before I could retort. 2 uniforms barreling in big guys, buzz cuts and beer guts. The Phoenix PD archetype smelling of donuts and disdain. Hands where we can see 'em.
Ma'am.
Step away from the children. The lead. A sergeant with a mustache like a 70s porn statch. Zeroed on me. Taser holster itching for action. Jake babbled. It's not, officers. My mom's not, but Lauren drowned him. Tearless sobs scripted from Dateline reruns. She shoved me. Threatened the kids. Look at the messages. It's all here. She thrust her screen. The group chat glowing with cherry-picked venom. My Grenade texts about the drive. Harlan's call on record, her sneaky app. No doubt. I complied. Palms up slow as molasses. Heart jackhammering ribs. Officers, this is family drama gone south. No assault, just a push in self-defense. She's been blackmailing me with old dirt. The second cop, younger with tattoos peeking from cuffs, snorted. Blackmail? Lady. We respond to domestics, not soap operas. You got priors. The '08 DUI flashed in my mind, a scarlet A on my record, and Lauren's eyes gleamed, jackpot. They cuff me gentle but firm, plastic-biting wrists like ironic bracelets, marching me to the cruiser while neighbors gawked from porches. PJs askew. Phones capturing the circus for next-door infamy. The ride to Maricopa County lockup was a blur of fluorescent hell, intake strip search that stripped dignity too. Holding cell with a bench harder than Harlan's heart. The clang of gates a dirge for dreams deferred. I sat there. Silver hair matted. Mumu swapped for an orange jumpsuit that screamed felon chic, replaying the melee like a bad VHS loop. Revenge? I'd swung the bat, but karma curved it back, smacking me square. Hours ticked to eternity, broken by a visitor buzz, Jake.
Hollow-eyed.
Clutching a manila envelope like a lifeline. Mom. He slid into the booth. Plexiglass smudged between us. Voice muffled through the holes. Lawrence. She's filing for separation. Took the kids to her sisters in Mesa. Said it's temporary. But he trailed. Envelope trembling.
Divorce papers?
Restraining order? Worse, custody grab. Greased by Voss lawyers sharper than switchblades. I called Harlan. Told him to back off. Or I'd go public, press, podcasts, the works. Bastard scrambling. But Lauren? She's flipped full villain. Says you're the abuser. That I enabled it. His eyes searched mine. Pleading absolution. Was it worth it? Exposing everything. I pressed palm to glass. Wishing it air. Worth it? Hell if I know.
Son.
I bore your mistakes. Harlan's sins, thought aided by peace. But peace is a myth in this country. Just ads for minivans and mortgages. We talked fractured. Him spilling, how Lauren's facade cracked post-call. Her rages at mirrors. Smashing heirloom plates she'd bought on our dime. How she'd confessed. Tear-streaked. That Voss recruited her at a realtor mixer. Marry the mark. Bury the mess, but love snuck in. Twisted to toxicity. She says she did it for us, for the house. The life we deserved.
But now?
It's poison. Polarizing poison. Her ambition a feminist flex or Frankenstein's monster. Devouring the village? Bail came at noon. Courtesy of Carla's GoFundMe. Save Sienna from the snakes, and a judge who eyed my record but saw the gray. No priors since '08. Lauren's bruises inconsistent with force. Released to the street in yesterday's clothes. I hitchhiked home. Uber 2 broke for, to find the rancher ransacked. Drawers yanked. Closets gutted. A post-it on the fridge. Kids safe from you. Sign the quitclaim or see you in court.
Eh.
Jake waited on the stoop. Twins mercifully absent. His truck idling like getaway plans. We drove in silence to Denny's, the all-night beacon for broken hearts, sliding into a booth sticky with syrup ghosts. Over grand slams, eggs over easy, hash browns scattered, he laid it out. Divorce imminent. Joint custody war. Harlan suing for defamation but folding fast under media sniff, a local blogger latched on. Voss scandal. Heart doc's sturdy heart. Lauren? Hold up. Radio silent. But whispers of her flip, public mea culpa on Insta Live. Tears and I was manipulated, tagging survivor coerced. Gaslighting gold. Or genuine grief. The public chewed it like cud. Comments splitting. Run. Jake, gold digger, versus Sienna's the hag, elder abuse. The twist landed that night. As Jake dropped me home. Brake lights fading into monsoon mist. A knock, soft, hesitant. Lauren on the porch.
No armor.
Just sweats and smeared mascara. A diaper bag slung like surrender.
Sienna. Elite.
About everything. She thrust papers, not quitclaim, but annulment drafts. Her signature looped defiant. Harlan, he was a mentor. He was paying me to seduce Jake. Dig up your dirt. Keep the family pure. I fell for your boy. But the strings. They choked me. Confession cascaded. Voss as puppet master. Her flips survival flips. The ultimatum a desperate sever. I shoved you that night trying to grab the drive. Your assault? My bad acting. Shock rooted me. Rain mingling with unlikely tears. Debatable denouement. Redemption arc or ruse reloaded. She hugged me then. Fierce and frail. Whispering. Buy the house. Hell. Let's remodel. Together. For the kids. Jake returned at dawn. Twins in tow. A fragile quad rebuilding on rubble. Happy? In the hazy American way, scars scabbed, secrets scarred, but standing. Or tragic, if her truth twisted again. We'd shatter like that dropped plate. As Mesquite whispered outside, I wondered, in revenge's rear view, is forgiveness fool's gold? Or the only win worth wagering? We started with paint, soft sage for the kitchen walls, laughter tentative as new buds after fire. Mia drew unicorns on drop cloths. Max gummed a brush. Jake and Lauren bickering over swatches like newlyweds reborn.
Me?
I watched from the ladder, roller in hand, tasting tentative peace. But in quiet moments, the thumb drive hidden anew, I pondered the what-ifs. If I'd stayed silent, swallowed the ultimatum, would we be whole? Or just hollowed faster? Readers, you'd argue till blue, hero, villain, or victim. In my America, we're all three, chasing that elusive fence under desert stars.